and gentlemen, welcome back to the World OTT Show. Well, we hope you had a great networking opportunity to go and visit the sponsor booths and also to network amongst each other. Well, we're having a great day since morning today, and right now at 3:20 Singapore Standard Time, we're on the future of OTT panel discussion, looking at talking about future of OTT technology, how industry will evolve in the post-pandemic world. Looking at talking about audio OTT platforms, OTT challenges, new ways for growth, and immersive experience, which is interactive features for the platform to bring experience to the next level. While we're elated to be joined by our eminent speakers, first up, Dushyantt Kohli, co-founder and COO, Khabri India. Well, Khabri, India's biggest and fastest growing regional language audio platform for knowledge. A 2X entrepreneur and a digital business growth specialist with over 15 years of wide-ranging experience in the digital domain for B2C and B2B businesses. Kohli has been at the forefront of new age businesses like OTT, audio and video both, EdTech, SaaS, B2B, social discovery, and digital media. Thank you so much, Dushyantt, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Pleasure, Dushyantt. Also, ladies and gentlemen, joining us is Dr. Asugan Pechi Muthu, DBA Human Resources MBA, Chief Executive Officer, One Stop Music, OSM Berhad, Malaysia. Well, Dr. Asugan heads One Stop Music, which is OSM PhD, as its CEO and reports to its company's board. OSM Berhad is a consortium of record labels, which is also known as the fourth music major company in Malaysia after the three international giant labels. Thank you so much, Dr. Asugan, for joining us today live.
Thank you, Bhavana. It's a pleasure to join Trustcom's World OTT show today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Pleasure is all ours. Ladies and gentlemen, joining is also Tryke, Chief Executive Officer, Tier 1 Entertainment Philippines, joining us. Well, Tryke has been in the esports Philippine industry since its very inception and is one of the most explosive and pioneer podcasters in the country. He's also respected by the gaming community thanks to his contributions to the growing local esports scene in the country.
Hi, guys.
Tryke, for joining us today.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is all ours. Ladies and gentlemen, also joining us is Justin Deimen, Group Managing Partner, Aurora Media Holdings. Well, Justin produces and leads productions across all genres and formats in every major international territory as a creative entrepreneur and the C-level executive advisor, board member, and is often the focal point of complex/matrix teams. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining us.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us. Thanks for the kind introduction.
Pleasure. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce you to the moderator of this panel discussion. We have with us Noble Binoy, founder and director, Noble Partners. Well, Mr. Binoy is currently monetizing video 2.0, entertainment, education, gaming, and esports, sports, shopping through D2C, which is direct-to-consumer models. He's somebody who's working at leading D2C business in the emerging, mature, and advanced Asian markets based out of Singapore, Japan, and Vietnam. Thank you so much, Noble, for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Nice to meet you. Hope everyone is well, and thanks for the introduction.
Pleasure is all ours. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you've got the eminent panelists on your stage and screen, we'd request you, if you have any questions for our panelists, to please type it up in the Q&A tab. We'll take it up at the end of the session if time allows. But with this, I'd now like to pass it on in the able hands of Mr. Binoy to take it forth with his panel. Over to you.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So we have an exciting panel with a variety of experience in the OTT sector, ranging from audio to video to gaming and esports. So it's going to be really exciting in terms of the geographic experience, as well as the variety of the industry expertise they have. So let's all ask the right questions and get the most out of their insights. So I really recommend the audience to ask the questions when you have time. When you have a question in mind, just quickly ask so that we can discuss. When we go through it, or we can actually discuss it by end of the session. So let's kick off the session. So our objective today is to look into the future of OTT. As you know, the COVID pandemic has caused a massive shift in the consumer behavior, as well as a technological shift and the whole things around metaverse and all of that is changing the consumer behavior and also the OTT behavior. So we want to look at what will be the future of OTT considering all these changes we are seeing in the sector. So I suggest we start a 30-second elevator pitch from our panelists so that the audiences have a clear understanding of why they're saying certain things in certain perspective. So we start with Dushyantt. Do you want to kick off 30-second?
Hi everyone. I'm from India and I'm been in the forefront of OTT business in India. I'm one of those few guys who've gone to video, created platforms, created India's first applications for OTT in entertainment genre. And today I'm on a mission with my co-founders at Khabri to change the way people gain knowledge in the tier 2, tier 3 towns of India. So right now we're running India's largest and fastest growing audio platform for knowledge. And I've been into this business and entertainment and digital business for past 15 years. And I've got some really good insights through my experience in B2C and B2B businesses, which I shall share. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Dushyantt. Justin, do you want to be the next one?
Sure. Okay. So I'm based out of Singapore, but our business is very much international and regional at the very least in Southeast Asia and plus plus. I wear three different hats most of the time. First hat I wear is on the Aurora media side, where we look at everything from investment into content, into IP, into media technology, and into M&A and media companies and all that. Second hat that I wear is on the 108 media side, where we're involved in a lot in the IP development, investment into content, co-production, production, and stuff like that. Anything to do operational with content, basically, even licensing. The third hat that I wear is I'm the executive director of the Southeast Asian Audiovisual Association, which is the largest creative entrepreneurship association and creative producing association in Southeast Asia. And through that, we look a lot at infrastructure and partnerships around the region. So anything to do with content or anything to do with the whole business of where we are in, we tend to have our hands in. So I tend to take a bigger overview look at where the industry is going, the growth is. And obviously the OTT is a big part of that in terms of not just how we see content being distributed, but entire lifestyle solution to a lot of people as well.
Thanks, Justin. Tryke.
Hi guys, I'm Tryke Gutierrez, the CEO and co-founder of Tier 1 Entertainment. We are one of the biggest esports and gaming entertainment IP in Southeast Asia. And I personally am born and grew up in the Philippines. Our company is operational in multiple countries. We're in Malaysia, we're in the Philippines, we're in Myanmar. We're looking to expand in 3 more countries. Basically for us, the goal was to be able to open as much doors for gamers in this part of the world. And right now we have 400 plus talents. We have 100 plus people in the company. We're working with multiple platforms with Facebook Gaming and Spotify and the multiple other platforms where we bring authentic gaming content to them. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
Thanks, Tryke. Dr. Asugan, the last one, not the least. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Asugan, CEO of One Stop Music OSM Berhad, which is a Malaysian-based company. OSM is known as a consortium of record labels, which is also known as a 4th music major in Malaysia after the 3 international giant labels. We were founded in year 2005, and currently we are representing more than 350 recording companies and businesses, as well as music publishing companies, primarily from Malaysia and also other parts of Asia Pacific. So OSM is specialized in distributing our members' music contents for monetization on various digital global music platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, and so on. And we are also a Google YouTube certified company with MCN status, multi-channel network. And OSM also acts to ensure our members have effective access on new emerging revenue streams opportunities, and our rights are appropriately valued and protected for the music publishers, especially on mechanical rights, production rights, synchronization rights, and etc. So we are also assisting our publishing members in promoting and protect their work, and also play an important role in the Malaysian music industry in overcoming the challenges and issues faced by our fellow music industry friends by taking relevant measures and actions to facilitate the growth of the industry. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So yeah, so let's deep dive into the audio OTT sector. So when we hear about the OTT audio, we typically think about something like, Spotify, something along the music streaming, and then that has been changed recently with the podcast, the audio books, and everybody have a podcast these days. So the whole OTT audio has been transformed during COVID, and even before that, we've been seeing the transformation. So, and especially with Clubhouse and all the new platforms, the industry is actually going through a massive shift with the creative economy as well. So, what's the kind of transformation you are seeing in your market, Dushyantt? Can you give us a bit more insights about Khabri, how it's being transformed in India, and because from what I understand, yours is not just music; it's even about motivations and news and all of that. So give us a bit more insights and how you do that. What's the transformation in that market?
Yeah. Thanks, Noble. I would, in fact, would like to take a step back and give you a little insight on the Indian internet population and how they are using it for you to better fathom and appreciate the importance of other mediums and other formats of OTT which are going to come. Audio being one of the major ones for at least coming next 3 to 5 years. If you look at India as a country with a 1.4 billion population, we have 622 million internet users, right? Out of which some 323 millions are from urban areas and 299 million are from the rural area. And why this data is very important, because the real growth of OTT as a whole in India in time to come has to come from the different vernacular places, the regional states, and in regional languages. In fact, a fun fact is India tops world. 58.1% of internet population uses voice search and voice commands, which is kind of highest in the world, right? So we can well say that India has already chosen its direction. We have always been an audio first nation. When we talk about OTT in the country, of course, there are a lot of OTT platforms in entertainment space, as well as in edtech space now. Video has its own role to play, but looking at our kind of country, wherein, of course, I myself have been into the video space, so video has its own importance, but for Indians, audio becomes probably the most convenient way of consuming digital content. And when I talk about it, I'm primarily not talking about the urban population. I'm talking about the tier 2, tier 3 towns and villages in India. We are a big country with almost 29 states, 7 UTs. There are different languages, 19,500 languages and dialects being spoken in India. Even the official number of languages is 22. So when you look at such diverse country, kind of putting multiple countries into one country, the availability of infrastructure, be it the kind of handset you use or the internet speed, bandwidth, latency. If you look at all that, audio becomes so easy and convenient to consume that even if you have probably the cheapest smartphone and you have basic internet speed of even 1 Mbps, you're very good to go with the highest quality of audio possible, right? So that is one part of it. The second aspect of it is when we talk about music, like you said, as soon as we talk about audio, you remember Spotify. Music has always been there. I think it has been there much before video came into existence. But today, the world we are living in, and specifically when I talk about India, there are some 850 million people who are below the age of 35 years, right? Apart from music, of course, they are listening to music. Almost 82% of the internet population listens to music. But then there are more needs. So when we talk about audio has gone much beyond music. Audio is being utilized for, like you said, audiobooks, but that was a very structured and fixed way of gaining knowledge. Today, people are doing a lot on audio. Khabri specifically identified that gap, and we target tier 2, tier 3 town and villages, youngsters who are from 16 to 36 years old, for helping them to prepare and move forward in their career, right? So there is a lot of education which is happening on our platform. There are some 40 million aspirants or people who give government job examination in India every year. They all need to prepare, right? And there are so many subjects wherein you don't need video. So that is another thing for which people are adopting audio, and Khabri is one of those places where this is possible in audio, number one, second in their regional language, and third at a very affordable kind of pricing. Now, when we talk about this, what are we actually doing? So at Khabri, we are trying to do a very, very meaningful job, because we are trying to help bottom of the pyramid, people who are there in tier 2, tier 3 towns, villages, all these youngsters who want to do something in their life. They have immediate goals in their studies or career, whether they want to go for higher studies, they want to clear a competitive examination, or want to qualify a job exam. They need options. They probably, because of the physical limitations, geographical limitations, or the infrastructure or economic limitations, not everyone is able to get the kind of education or kind of content they need to get to qualify those examinations. When we talk about urban areas, the scenario is definitely much different. The resources availability as well affordability is possible there. Video options are there. But for these particular lot which I'm talking about, the bottom of the pyramid, they're doing many things together. Some of them have to do some work to sustain themselves, help their family, and still do those preparations, gain that knowledge and upskill themselves. So that is where audio becomes very convenient. Another thing is, which is a very good part with audio, and that is what will also fuel audio's growth in time to come, is it is a passive platform. So you don't have to get stuck to one screen. You can do something else, which is probably, if it's not a mind work, you can just put up your headphone, you can go for a walk, you can cook food, you can do cycling, you can kind of be doing a little job in one shop or the other, but you can still listen to your thing. You can keep gaining knowledge, you can get your entertainment. Music definitely is there. But then audio in recent past has become much more meaningful and much more impactful in terms of directly impacting lives of these people. And it has gone definitely beyond entertainment.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's all about economic empowerment as well, and also uplifting the underprivileged people with the whole audio driven educational platform. And
I'll just add one more thing to it. Is one side is the consumer, and with Khabri specifically, we have done a great job in terms of getting the passion economy in place. We have more than 150,000 creators on our platform who create content, which is probably the largest in India. So that side is also being benefited with audio.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'll come back to you with a couple of follow-up questions, but before that, I want to get the views from Dr. Asugan in a Malaysian market perspective. What's the transformation we are seeing in that market?
Thanks, Berhad. In Malaysia, at the moment, the transformation, yes, audio OTT has become really significant and relevant. Undeniably, we are following the global trend. For Malaysian music streaming market, however, the visuals has become very important. Okay, so on top of the audio content, it need to be added with a good video production, okay, for that to attract the audience to be engaged and enjoy the audio content. So with the platforms like YouTube's, okay, or any other video platforms, by playing the music videos through the visuals, so it attracts and makes the audio content to achieve the needed exploitation to a wider market. So, however, the only challenges in this region among the independent musicians, sometimes in order to produce a good quality video production, some they may able to come up with a good audio, but some are losing in the competition because of not so well produced video production. So therefore, we are emphasizing and trying to educate more independent musicians the needs of good visual productions to make it audio successful. Yeah. So, and again, at the current situation, so the pandemic also a factor that is more challenging to them, and people are trying to overcome it. So, with sufficient education and support from the nations and other related agencies, people are trying to adapt it.
Yeah, thank you. So, so Justin, I think that's probably an opportunity for you. You know, Dr. Asugan talking about audio with a combination of video, and there is a need of high quality video production for that. Do you see that as an opportunity for you to, you know, to venture into more of a audio plus video kind of collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, I'll be honest, that's the conversation, the way the conversation has been going with a lot of big audio OTT platforms as well. I think the most important thing people look at when they see audio, especially if you come from a very traditional content creation background, is audio allows you to use your mind's eye in a very different way, first of all. So it changes the storytelling of how you do things as well. More importantly, as a content creator, it creates a different avenue for IP creation. You know, you can buy a book or you can write a script and all that, and you can spend the next 2 years of your life trying to set it up or get financing for it. But creating an audio drama out of it first, just to seed, you know, get your story out there, get the reactions from audiences and all that. It starts off from the IP. You know, when that becomes a bit of a success story where, you know, you invest just a little bit of money to kind of get that story out there or the writing out there. The next step for that is you will see a lot of traditional platforms or traditional content creators or video creators coming in and saying, how can I adapt that story or expand on that IP for different markets? So I think it's a good way for content creators to take the power out of commissioners and other bigger producers, and saying that, you know, I can get my own story out there in the way I want to first, and then see where the partnerships lie after that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Justin. Tryke, in a Philippines market perspective, as well as a gaming esports, you know, it is primarily video content for gaming and esports. But, you know, we always see that there's a synergy with music, especially for gaming and esports.
Yep.
Do you see what's the transformation in that segment here?
Yeah, I think when we talk about content, and especially digital content, I want to start off with the accessibility of the market per se. So for example, for the whole of Southeast Asia back in 2020, you know, according to CNBC, 70% of the whole population are already online, right? That's 400 million people. And outside of that, the access to cheaper smartphones came in because of a lot of the new products that are coming in the emerging markets, right? And because of that, accessibility is already there. And I believe that in our region, the creator ecosystem is different from the West, where the access to resources are not there yet for everyone. So, you know, with audio, I think it has so much of an easier access compared to creating blogs and, you know, other type of video content that you can create in YouTube and in all the other platforms out there. So I think the number one development that I see when it comes to audio is that in terms of the creator, it's so much easier to create content on an audio level compared to like video. So it's really going to be a big part of the future for the emerging markets as number one. And I think on the second point, when we talk about someone being a content creator, usually the medium is usually the message, right? So if, for example, if you're doing a vlog or you're doing some game clips, usually 10 minutes are too much already, right? If you want to get to 30, 50, if it's a full game clip, maybe people will digest that, right? But in this time of TikTok where 30 and 60 seconds are the game, you know, it doesn't really give you enough time so to really express your thoughts and the content that you want to convey to the audience that you want to convey to. And I believe the power of audio format is really, it gives you the luxury to express your thoughts without without forcing the audience to be locked in on their eyes. You know, like, for example, you can be jogging and, you know, listening to some thoughts of your favorite influencer, or maybe it's your favorite business founder who's talking about business. And I think it piques the interest of those who really wants to deep dive into a certain interest. And because of that, it creates multiple communities. And the beauty of it is really, it's just one dimension to the entertainment that you're experiencing nowadays, because you can listen to something and look at something else, right? So I think that layer really adds up to the reason why audio is part of the future for both the creator system and the whole region as a whole.
Okay, yeah, that's really insightful. Thank you. Thanks, Tryke. So I want to have a look at the challenges we have, you know, in terms of the OTT landscape, especially, you know, when Dushyantt talks about thousands of, you know, dialects in India and localizing content for such a massive market. How do you do that? What's your biggest challenge? Do you see technology is helping you with the whole, you know, localization of the content for such a big localized market, and how do you do that?
Yeah, in fact, Noble, you've kind of highlighted a really big problem with it. Is not just with audio. To be frank, if you look at video also, or any form of digital content, wherever there is diversity, there are multiple languages, multiple cultures. More than language, it is culture as well, right? Because words change meaning in different cultures, right? So idea is definitely one side of it is to take technologies help, wherein you could do speech synthesis, and you can utilize text to speech and other technologies, which personally, if I tell you, we've been very interested in, and we have been working on it from more from a R&D perspective. But when we talk about a country like India, and specifically content which is not just music or entertainment, right? Even for that matter, beyond music, entertainment would also be difficult just to translate it from one language to another and put it to other region, right? Because people have different things of, you know, if you talk about, say, humor, people have different sense of and different meaning of different words. So you can't just mindlessly do it in terms of translation, basic translation. When we talk about utilizing technology, it has to be a very intelligent technology, wherein there are multiple dimensions to it, and all those dimensions needs to be carefully taken into consideration before we can actually utilize technology. In our case, eventually, of course, everyone has to do it with technology because that's the way. But today, if we talk about it, because we have specific knowledge content, so we have to actually do a lot of manual thing, and there's a lot of commitment which goes into it when you go from one language to another language, right? But yeah, way forward has to be technology. Everyone would want to do that. It will save so many of man hours and give a fruitful output.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, you know, one of the major challenge we may see is, you know, especially when it's you know, more of a system where audiences are contributing, or more of like a creative economy kind of system. People are creating the content, and they have their own biases to how they see the things, and that may be very sensitive for, you know, somebody in, you know, in a, let's say in Delhi compared to somebody in you know, Tamil Nadu or somewhere that's extremely culturally different. And
that is a very interesting point, and in fact somewhere that is one point where audio kind of scores better, because when there are different culture, dialect, languages, and then there is also a visual, so it becomes very difficult, right?
Yeah.
It actually, you can't run something from north of India in south of India. It makes absolutely no sense. One is language, but apart from language, even if the language is theirs, right? If it's a South language, the visual of it will make them disconnect with it. They won't want to watch it, right? But with audio, that visual goes off. And the only thing which you have to work upon is the audio part of it. So if you do a contextual translation of this stuff, and if that stuff is relevant, it would be absolutely accepted without any problem. So it kind of brings the barrier of production much lower.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So what's your biggest challenge, Justin, in your work? What's your biggest challenge in the OTT point of view? Is it more of finding the creative work, or is it the technology, or something else?
I think it's a hybrid of all of that. So, I think we are almost at the end of the first phase of our OTT growth right now. To be honest, we are looking at, one of the big things that keep me up is looking at technologies that enhance the creative work, or bring the creators together from all across the world. I think one of the big problems we are having with a lot of OTT platforms at the moment is everybody's going local all the time, which means they're keeping their audience base. They are ignoring that it's a content creator economy out there, that it's globalized and all that. I think the biggest challenge everybody's going to be having is how do we keep audiences locked into our platform? What is it? Everybody's looking at their monetization. Are they supposed to be subscription or not? But at the end of the day, you have a good UX, you have a good tech behind you, you have good content strategy. That's the three key pillars that build up any good OTT business. I think looking at, because what we do a lot of times, we invest in a lot of OTT platforms and their content and co-finance content with them as well. One of the things that we've always looked at with OTT platforms is what is the game plan? So now that you have your technology, you have the right UX, you have your right CTO getting you going and all that, you have the right library behind you. How do you make sure that you have the right refreshments on the content? How do you keep audiences on? And some OTT players have been a bit smart about this thing. They started realizing they have to kind of gamify the system quite a bit as well. How do I offer incentives to audiences to stay on my platform as long as I can? If they are logged on for 22 hours a day or minimum, do they get e-commerce vouchers or something like that? So that's where all the partnerships with e-commerce players and brands and all that start coming in. So all this thinking outside the box about keeping content and audiences together, I think that's the next big step that we have to kind of focus. And one other big thing is to also really know what your OTT stands for. I think, is it an add-on to somebody's life in how they watch content and consume content, or is it the primary way you want them to consume content? So I look at a lot of OTT platforms. The first thing how I differentiate them in my head is this where people come to spend their nights on days, or is this a second screen option for another OTT platform or a traditional OTT, traditional broadcaster or something like that? Or do they work better if they are in partnership with a social media platform, not just being a standalone OTT? So I think that's, evolving where we are right now as OTT stakeholders. I think it's the next key thing that we'll kind of look at.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because we all have finite time, and it's all about how we allocate our time and which OTT platform, or do we spend more time listening to something, or browsing through the social media feed, or
all at the same time.
Yeah, or more of like face-to-face time. That's getting lesser and lesser these days. Everybody's looking at a screen all the time. So yeah, that's interesting. It's all about how do we make it relevant to the consumers. So
I mean, Dushyantt mentioned doing using edutech in OTT in the very beginning. I think if you can merge using edutech and rewarding people for using your platform to learn at the same time, bringing all these few things together, I think that's the key concept of how in the next phase you just kind of see OTT being a plug and play into our lifestyle, not so much just a content consumption place.
Okay, yeah, it's true. Tryke, I want to ask you about, I think that's probably one of the biggest challenge we are seeing in our industry. Esports and gaming, it's a booming industry. There's a lot of traction, but where is the money? I just want to put you in a situation, but I really want to, because everybody's asking where is the real money in esports and gaming. There's there's a bit of brand sponsorship and all of that, but still it's really small in this part of the world. So how do you really make money? How do you survive? If we can.
Um, I think there are multiple revenue streams that are already available when it comes to esports and gaming. And I think one of the biggest flaw that's out there is that a lot of esports companies are patterning the organizations based on actual sports, which are totally different because the royalties, the broadcasting licenses, and all of those frameworks and systems that are in place are not set in esports and gaming yet. But the fact of the matter is 2.7 billion people are in gaming. And in fact, in Southeast Asia alone, 3 out of 4 online person is already in gaming. So it's technically 75% of the market. And outside of those gaming audiences, basically we have 495 million who are in esports. So those are your really hardcore, audience that watches esports. And I think not a lot of companies have really cracked how to monetize that attention. But I think we're one of the few that actually cracked that. We've created IPs around the talents that we have. We have a combined following of 100 million. We're creating reality shows out of the talents that we've built. We're doing merchandise. We're looking into licensing of the esports teams that we have in terms of extending it into other partners who want to make it like a billboard or make it like a certain IP where they can resell it and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I feel like in this day and age, what truly matters is attention, because obviously everybody's trying to fight for it. We can never put back the Pandora's box where people will just watch one TV and that's it, right? Like once people in the internet learn to control what they want to watch and see, we can never put it back. So I feel like that's why the creator system is there, because the creators understand the locality and the importance of authenticity, and they know how to create communities around the content that they create. And in order to institutionalize all that, that's why we're doing the things we do. And I feel like at the end of the day, we're not there yet in terms of where esports and gaming could be in terms of monetization, but we're gamers. Like we've grown with trying to hit objectives, finishing games. We've spent hours and hours of doing a lot of challenges and stuff. So I feel like I believe in the gaming community that the founders in this space will figure it out. What matters is the attention is already there, the infrastructure is set, a lot of people are looking into our industry, and yeah, I think we have a really bright future, especially in this world of online.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. So one question, probably this is the biggest question we have, is what's the future of OTT? Because we see that even one of the leading player like Netflix, they are going beyond just video. They are going into e-commerce. They're selling merchandise. They're going to get into gaming, and this is not a new thing. So if you look at the leading OTT players in China, they've been doing it for years, and it's just getting into other markets. So where do you see the future of OTT? We probably want to do it like quick 30 seconds each, and to see like where do you see from your perspective what's going to be the future of OTT? Asugan, do you want to start first?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to the future of audio OTT, so I think that with the evolvement of technology and the changes of time, so the audio OTT business people, especially from the musicians, record labels, they need to be understand and prepare for crossover beyond the typical audio entertainment. For instance, they need to prepare for collaborations between audio OTT industry and, for example, gaming industry. With example, esports as an example. Okay, so besides that, the artists also need to mentally accept the fact of changes of the trend, changes where music we can bring to end user or the consumers via different approach. Like these days, so what we're looking at today, we are no longer using the traditional method. Now music is being brought to the users using the shorts, reels, TikTok, and so on. So similarly, when the trends are changing, So the audio OTT creators, like the labels and the musicians, so they also have to evolve themselves with the trend changes and also keep themselves updated in terms of knowledge and their efforts, so that it is in line and they are not losing out in the wider business market.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Dushyantt, what's your perspective in terms of future of OTT in a audio and Indian market perspective? Yeah.
I am a very emotional guy when you talk about future of OTT, because I see it is not future of OTT, it's future of humanity, which will be, intertwined with different kind of or various forms of OTT coming into, life. Like we are doing this conference today. If there was no OTT, we were all sitting at our homes,
Yeah.
right? I'll quickly tell you about a bit on future of video also, just one sentence that I see in time to come now. OTT in terms of experience has to enhance. It has to become really, really immersive, whether it is video or audio. So for example, when we talk about video, we could think of maybe I'm sitting in my room and I'm watching a concert within my living room. So by hologram projections, maybe, whole band is playing in my house, right?
Yeah.
So, and I can stream it on demand.
Yeah.
Similarly, when we talk about audio,
Yeah.
and this is very interesting, we have all, I think, come across that forward of 8D sound, right? So that is something which is immersing you, like you feel the different instruments and you can hear voices from everywhere, right? So the experience has to get more and more immersive. That is one side of it. Second side of it is the usage. Audio OTT would also be utilized in many things. Like we are already talking about music, entertainment, education, and then it can go further. It can go further, like JD said that, my story should go out first. Why should I wait for someone? Why should I write it? So in terms of usage, it is actually going to expand really, really far. The horizon is going to be much, much, much broader. And from the third tech side, when we talk about it, it has to be really automated in a way. For example, if I take the security or copyright aspect of it, so there can be content copyright running through blockchains, right, which will actually make it very, very, very strong. So all these problems of people recording it, doing screen recording and all those stuff and taking away your content and all the businesses losing revenue there will go off, right? And then there are things like you stop screen recording and other stuff. But I really feel it is really promising, and it will take humanity to next level. It has already done that. What had to happen in coming 3 years has already happened because of pandemic and lockdown. So yeah, I feel it is pretty exciting, and it is going to be more and more immersive.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Tryke, so I want to quickly get your thoughts about the future of OTT. We have 2 minutes left, so I want to spend a minute with you and 1 minute with Justin to get the future of OTT. So, especially in a gaming esports perspective, I think a lot of that is being evolved around metaverse. So what's your thoughts about, is that going to influence, the future of OTT?
I personally think that the future of OTT is really going to revolve around the quality of its supply and its inventory. And I think the two approaches to that are, number one, you go from top to bottom, where you are a platform and you try to find creators who are authentic, production companies who are authentic, in order to create those content. And on the second point, it can be from bottom to top, where you provide a platform where people can just upload anything, and maybe that can become something, right? And that balance is what's truly important to me, because as an audience myself, as a person who digests content, what really matters is what value do you provide to your audience, whether it's about business interest or gaming and esports. It has to be something that's not a waste of time to that audience, and being able to create that sustainable supply of content requires those two approaches for me. I mean, there might be other approaches out there, but from my perspective, that's
okay.
really.
Thanks, Tryke. Justin, what's your thoughts about future?
I think everybody's touched a little bit on everything, but I think biggest next step in OTT is going to be about world building and community building. So, that second screen immersion that, like you just mentioned, metaverse, anything to bring the online into the offline world, or activation. I think that's going to be the key thing. And secondly would be, you know, I think brands and e-commerce is going to become endemic to everything that OTT stands for. I think it even is going to lead to smart homes and smart living. You know, it's basically when you come home, you buy everything from an OTT platform, you watch everything that OTT platform provides you. And I think it's going to become part and parcel about, you know, your everyday lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. So that's like a super app that gives you everything you need.
I mean, why do you think that Amazon went where is this going?
Yeah, exactly. Amazing,
There's
brilliant.
there's very interesting
Yeah.
part to this, which Justin just said. Uh, in audio specifically, the assistant, that AI assistants will become very, very big thing, right? So anything you need to do, just speak and it would be done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It's been really insightful. Great pleasure to discuss with you. Really appreciate the audience's time as well. Hope you got some insights. Unfortunately, we couldn't, take the questions, but hope we have covered your questions during our discussion. And please feel free to, send the questions on, LinkedIn or email or wherever you can. We will try to answer as much as possible. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Noble, on that. I was just going to, in fact, tell the audience of the same that to connect with all the speakers on LinkedIn and be in touch with them if in case you have any further questions. Apologies, we couldn't take in interest of time right now. But I'd once again like to thank all of you for joining us today at the World OTT Show. Thank you once again.